Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight with your award-winning host, Dale Davidson. Dale interviews fascinating guests from top-ranked celebrities to people just like you who have an important story to tell. For more than 15 years, Dale has broadcast every week from the fabulous Las Vegas Strip. He finds the people who really make Las Vegas a one-of-a-kind city and lets the world know just what's happening in this remarkable town. You'll discover why 50 million people visit the entertainment capital of the world every year. Stay tuned for another exciting episode of Las Vegas Tonight.
And welcome. I'm Dale Davidson, and this is Las Vegas Tonight. We have a wonderful guest with us today. She is living in Rancho Mirage, California. She's been all over the world. She's been an entertainer since she was 4 years old. And she says she's just a little bit older than that right now. Roberta Linn, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us, Roberta.
Oh, Dale, I'm so happy to meet you and be on your show. Thank you.
Oh, you're so very welcome. Roberta is known for a number of things, including being on television, being a motion picture artist and actress, mostly for being a singer with big bands and on TV, and probably best known as being the champagne lady on the Lawrence Welk Show. And she is very well known.
Television.
the very first one on TV.
That's right.
That's wonderful.
And
Go ahead, Roberta.
I'm the last living champagne lady.
Is that right? That's wonderful.
None but me. I'm hanging in there.
and on TV, were there 4 of you that sang? Is that what I remember, right?
Not all at one time.
No.
In fact, they were before the television show, the ones that
I see.
Norma Zimmer was the last one. She had sort of a light operatic voice. And I've got to tell you, she and I were dear friends. And I loved her very, very much. She passed away, too. So I'm the last one still out here. And I'm still working.
That's wonderful. What are you doing now?
I still do shows. I do hour-and-a-half concerts. And I bring my books along and show everybody. Here's one here with me.
That's great. Lady. The champagne lady sitting in a champagne glass. Roberta Linn. That's wonderful.
Right, it's from Barnes and Noble and so on. And then the original title was this.
Okay. Not now, Lord. I've got too much to do.
Now, that title came about because I had an out-of-body experience.
Really? Please tell us about it.
Well, I in the 60s, after leaving Welk, I was working in Vegas with Margin Gower and Champion at the New Frontier, with them, and I got pneumonia. And they gave me an antibiotic called chloramycetin, and you can't take that within maybe 2 or 3 years if you had a series of it. Then I got pneumonia again. I worked with the comic.
Danny Thomas?
I was with Danny Thomas at the Sands, and I got pneumonia again.
And
they took me back to Cedars of Lebanon Hospital, and what did they give me? Chloramycin.
Same drug.
It was killing me. And about my experience, I couldn't eat. I was dying. I was on all the newspapers saying that I was critical. And I looked back down. I was on the ceiling of the room in a beautiful light. It was like a beautiful tunnel. And I could see someone at the end of the tunnel, but I couldn't see the face. But I did see my mother holding me in her arms and crying and saying, Roberta, please don't go. Please don't go. And as I'm there, I was out of pain and it was very europhic. And I'm looking back at my mom and I thought, I can't leave my mom. My mom needs me.
Yes.
So that's when I said, not now, Lord. I've got to go back. I know I woke up in my mother's arms, and my Father Michael Montoya from San Gabriel Mission was a dear friend of mine. He was saying the last rites for me. I was on my way out. But that's where the title came from. Not now, Lord. I've got too much to do.
Oh, we're so glad that you made it, Roberta.
Yes, I
let's talk about Vegas a little bit, since that's the name of our show, Las Vegas Tonight. You were here for quite some time. Tell me where you worked and who you worked with.
I worked Las Vegas for 17 years.
Wow, that's great.
The Rat Pack was there. They're all dear friends of mine. Sinatra, I've been at his house with dinner with he and his mother, and Kirk Douglas and Milton Berle, and Frank was one of my best friends.
That's great.
Dean Martin, I love Dean Martin. Dean and I, we were very good friends. Sammy Davis, Joey Bishop, I did his TV show. Danny Thomas, I worked with him a lot, helping him raise money for St. Jude, and also working in the club at the Sands. My first date there was at the New Frontier with Marge and Gower Champion. Imagine from going from television with Welk into the main room. Nelson Riddle did my music. Edith Head did my gowns. And Charlie O'Hearn staged my act. And I did 4 costume changes and never left the stage.
Wow, how'd they do that? So you just stepped away somehow.
Well, I was a good tap dancer. When I was a kid and you were doing movies, you had to know how to act and sing and dance and do all the musical things as well as the script and so on.
So you learned how to do everything.
Yeah, I was a pretty good dancer.
I'll bet you were. What did you like about Vegas, and what weren't you not that crazy about when it came to Vegas when you were there?
You know what? I really can't say anything bad about Vegas. I love Vegas. I worked on Vegas for the best years. When the Rat Pack was there and the mob was running the town. Yeah, but I've got to tell you that they really knew how to run a casino and how to run the musical end of it. Like Jack and Trotter from New York, they did the Copacabana, all the entertainment there. He did all the entertainment for the Sands.
Yeah, he was the entertainment director, I believe.
Absolutely. And a wonderful guy, huge, big man. He had to be about 6'4", I think.
Wow.
Yeah, and I could just remember his feet were big.
So you played at the Sands as well?
With Danny, and I love that, because the audience was perfect. You couldn't have. I worked the Riviera. I headlined the Riviera. I worked. Let me see. I worked the Desert Inn with Snozzle Durante.
Oh, okay.
And then I met my husband when I was working up in Reno at the Riverside Hotel in Reno.
Okay.
And we fell in love and got married. And Fred was working the lounges, and I was going other directions and working the main room. We finally got married, had a baby. And when I was working in the main rooms, I'd go over on his late show and jump on the stage with him.
Is that right?
And have a good time.
He was Freddie Bell, right?
Freddie Bell.
Yeah.
Freddie Bell and the Bell Boys. And Ann Irwin, who was head of entertainment at the Sahara, came to Fred and I one night. He said, you kids, you're going one way, Roberta, and Freddie's going another, and you've got a baby now. How would you like to have 42 weeks a year here at the Sahara? Louis and Keeley are going to the Desert Inn, and I need an act to fill that spot. So I'll give you 5 years, 42 weeks a year, graduate money. So, that you'll make great money and you'll be home with your baby.
And you work together on stage.
That's it. And if I say so myself, we really had a good act. And I loved working with him. He was a great talent, my husband.
That's wonderful. Let's talk about television now. Yeah. What was different and which did you like better? Did you like live audiences or working on TV better?
Well, we always had a live audience with the Welk Show.
Oh, you did? Okay.
We did it live from the Aragon Ballroom with a huge audience. And then when I started my own show for the Gas Appliance Dealers of America, I was in the theater right across from Paramount, and we had a live audience. So luckily, whenever I've worked on television, I've had a live audience to work to. And I get high from working. I would never have to do drugs. When I walk on stage, the band starts, and I have the audience. And God bless you, all of you that are watching out there. Know how much we entertainers love you. If it wasn't for the audience, what would we do?
Oh, sure.
You
And
know,
what was different about working on TV versus Vegas, for example?
and knowing how to work the cameras. I
Yeah.
worked with the genius, Klaus Landsberg, who I was the head of the KTLA Paramount Television. And he had the Spade Cooley show, the Leighton Noble show.
Oh, okay.
You know, he had all the great music shows. And we were lucky to work with him. And not only that, he read music. And he was the one that started 3 cameras. So instead of one camera having to float around, you had 3 cameras. And
Okay.
when he knew there was a trumpet solo, he'd see it on the music and he'd have the camera on the trumpet.
Oh, that's great.
The piano, when the singer was coming in, and he used to say to me, Roberta, somebody at home is watching you in their living room. So it's very personal. So you look right in that camera and you sing right to that person.
Wow.
So I worked with the best director and a wonderful man, Klaus Landsberg, head of KTLA.
Lawrence Welk was really a trendsetter, a pioneer in television. And it seemed like they had a happy family there. Was he a good guy to work for?
Yes, but strict.
He was like a taskmaster,
proud German father.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. I have a great story for you I've got to tell.
Sure, please do.
On our very first television show, I was there. A lot of people quote this now, but I was there that night.
Yes.
Our first television show, he came on the air, and you know he had a funny accent.
Yes,
So
he did.
if you listen closely, every B was a P. So
Yes.
my name was Roberta, and it was
Roberta.
And here's how he introduced the first show. He said, "Good evening, my friends, and welcome to our very first TV show from the beautiful Aragon Ballroom on Lick Pier, Santa Monica, California." He said, "Tonight we got the lovely champagne lady, Roberta Linn, and all these wonderful poison to pen." And then he looked at me and he said, "Okay, Roberta, okay, boys, you know it's our first TV show, and I want you all to pee on your toes." I wasn't so the band was in shock, and I was laughing. And after the show, he came to me, he said, "Roberta, what did I do now?" I said, "You told the band to pee on their toes." And he said, "Of course I did. I wanted them to do a good show." And I said, "No, Lawrence, it doesn't come across that way on television." So there was actually a headline on Variety magazine, The Bible of Show Business, said that Welk started his first TV show, and after the band peed on their toes, the show got underway. True story.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
I loved him. I loved him.
Oh, yeah.
Great band.
He's a wonderful guy. Tell me a little bit about the other people on the show. There were regulars. Lennon sisters were there, of course, for a long time. There were dancers. There were musicians that we saw week in and week out. Were you able to make friends with some of the cast, or were you all too busy?
They're the second string.
Oh, okay.
They're the second string people. When Dodge bought the show, Welk didn't want me to leave, but I had been offered my own television show, national. That's how
that's huge.
My Emmy Award. That's why.
Yeah, hold that up. I hear you got it. So, that's the closest any of us have ever been to one.
And it reads here, the Academy of Television Arts and Science Hollywood Achievement Award, Most Outstanding Female Performer of 1953, Roberta Linn.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yes, and it's a full size. The locals are about half this size.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's a big, heavy one, you know. And
oh, yeah.
Larger, yeah. So
that's wonderful.
I'm very thrilled and proud of this.
Oh, you should be, Roberta.
I am. And
Roberta,
a lot of things happened very young.
Oh, that's great. And you kept your spirit, which is a wonderful thing. That you're just as happy to be in front of the camera as you were then.
Yeah.
and you have a great personality, and you really convey that to everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Roberta, we need to take a brief break and do a little business.
Okay.
We'll be back with Roberta Linn right after these messages.
Hi, I'm Dale Davidson, host of Las Vegas Tonight. You know, radio has an enduring place in the heart of America. Sometimes it's music that can enliven your spirit or keep you company when you need some. More often for me, it's just been the right spoken word or two that can quiet my mind and soul. Radio brings me a reassuring word in the quiet of night or a welcoming voice early in the morning as I shake off the night's sleep and find my way into God's purpose for my day. And always, I find the best radio station is the one that brings me the best news, the gospel of Jesus Christ. My favorite radio station is KKVV in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's still right where it's been for years, at 1060 on the AM dial, hovering over Sin City like a gospel airship, broadcasting the good news of the abounding love that Jesus Christ has for every single one of us. No matter who you are or where you live, you can receive God's Word via the KKVV Gospel Airship. Just go to kkvv.com and click on Listen Live. KKVV is using all the tools that God's provided them, like podcasting and video streaming and video on demand, to produce programs that lift up our fellow believers and save the lost. If you feel a calling to speak to others about Jesus Christ on your very own show, pick up the phone and call the station. They'll be happy to tell you how. Call KKVV today at 702-731-5588 or drop them an email at kkvvradio@hotmail.com. Please join me in becoming part of the KKVV family. You'll be glad you did.
We're often told that happiness is a choice. We can make lists of things we're thankful for or a list of things that we're excited about. But that happiness is artificial, which might make us feel like there's something seriously wrong with us. Why can't we just be happy? Here's something interesting. There's a study that shows only 10% of our unhappiness comes from external circumstances. So theoretically, we can choose to be happy. There's nothing wrong in choosing happiness, especially during difficult times. But this kind of happiness is artificial and hard to keep up. We put on masks and shove our emptiness and hurt down. When we try to create happiness from inside ourselves, it's easy to feel lonely and isolated. But there are times when things are going great in our lives, yet we're still feeling unsatisfied. Don't beat yourself up about feeling this way. There is hope. In any situation you're in, there are two ways of looking at it, positive and negative, right? Well, actually, it's your way or God's way. When you look at it your way, it's easy to will yourself to look for the positive, but we're left feeling restless. But what if we begin to see it from the perspective of God? Our whole world changes. When we enter into a relationship with Him, He shows us more and more about how He sees us and His creation. The Bible reveals to us His character and wisdom. It's a miraculous thing to get a glimpse of how our God sees us and our situation. Today, I'd like to invite you to experience that. By Jesus' sacrifice on the cross, we are able to receive God's grace and have a relationship with Him. If you want to learn more, please click to start a conversation with someone who is ready to answer any of the questions that you might have. We look forward to connecting with you soon.
And welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. Boy, we had a great first segment with Roberta Linn, Lawrence Welk's Champagne Lady. She's an actress. She's a great singer. She spent 17 years right here in Las Vegas working with the Rat Pack and others. And she's just a terrific woman who belies her age just looking at her. And I told her, I'm a gentleman. I'm not going to mention what her age is, but you'd be amazed because she looks fantastic. So how do you do it, Roberta? How do you continue to look so young?
Well, I've lived a good, clean life.
That's good.
I don't smoke.
Yeah.
I very rarely drink, and I've
Yes.
never done drugs. And for
Yes.
anybody in show business, that's, I think, a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that really is.
I love what I do.
It's wonderful.
I love
And I think it's fantastic that you're still performing. You know, it's like I always say when people ask me if I'm going to retire, I said, I don't believe that word is in the Bible.
That's true. I think if you love what you do, it keeps you young.
Yes.
It really does.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. And you mentioned to me before we rolled tape that you and Lawrence Welk ended up to be lifelong friends, and he employed you after you were on his show some years later, right?
I did some marketing for his timeshare to help him. Ken Dilo and I went out and did like dinner parties.
Oh, okay.
So when I was available, I'd go out and do the dinner parties. There'd be 200 or 300 people there. I didn't sing, but I did talk about Lawrence Welk and his background and my background with him. You know, just general things. It wasn't a singing, but it was like a lovely dinner party, and all the people at the resort, and then hopefully they bought timeshares.
Yeah, I've driven past his complex in Escondido, California, and it's quite large. I mean, it's a really big resort, and I guess it must still be doing well because there's always a lot of activity and a lot of cars there.
Larry Welk Jr., Lawrence Welk Jr., just sold it to Marriott.
Oh, is
Marriott
that right?
now is Welk Resorts.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
Let's
Street with the family and so on.
We mentioned the Bible here a minute ago. I want to, if it's okay, I'd like to talk to you about your faith because you are a very strong Christian. Tell us a little bit about how you came to Christ. Was it early on in your life when you were growing up in Iowa, or was it later?
No, I've always felt that way. When I was a very little girl, after we came from Iowa to California, I came in diapers. So I really grew up in California. All of our family, my mother was the Bristows, Bristow, French and Scotch Irish was my mother.
Oh, okay, that's me too, Scotch Irish, yeah.
From our house, there was a beautiful church. I can't remember the denomination, but I used to sneak in there and sit down and look at the candles and look at the statues of Christ and Mary, and I just felt so good. You know, I even wrote a song the first time I appeared in Vegas. Nelson Riddle did the chart. It's called "You Look Up to Him and He'll Smile Down on You."
Wow.
Yeah, that's the title of it. And it's kind of a gospel, you know, and but I've always known that my relationship with God is extremely important. God is the director and producer of each and every one of us. He directs our life, you know, no matter what. He's the producer and the director. Once you get that in your mind, and you understand that, then it's very important.
Yes, and I think that's also part of your secret of having such, you know, looking so great, having a long life, and performing still is your faith. There are often people who get into show business in Las Vegas or in Hollywood, and if they don't have that grounding, they have personal problems, don't they?
Yes, yes. Well, you know, life has its ups and downs. I'm not saying that my whole life was a bowl of cherries, as they say.
Right.
I've had my ups and downs, and I've had, you know, like that out-of-body experience. I'm very sick. And recently I've had some surgeries and so on, you know, but I'm still here, and my mind is still good. And
that's wonderful.
That's the most important thing. keeping that mind busy. Keep your mind and your body busy. You know, I've never had a facelift.
That's wonderful.
I had a little Botox up here one time for some little smile wrinkles, but I've never had a facelift. And so what you see is what I got to give.
You look great. Let's talk about your personal life a little bit, if you don't mind. When you were growing up in California, do you feel that having the family there was a natural way of leading you into show business? Because I know you started when you were quite young, didn't you?
Everybody was making money. Everybody was broke when they came to California. My grandfather died very suddenly, had a big farm back in Iowa, and was mayor of Bedford, Iowa. I was born in a little town called Gravity. In fact, my mother went to school with Johnny Carson's mother.
Oh, is that right? Oh, what a great story.
Johnny Carson show several times, the Tonight Show. And every time he introduced me, here's a young lady that defied gravity.
That's a great line, Johnny Carson.
It was just, I don't know why we all settled in Huntington Park, but it seemed to be the place. My dad was a pro baseball player. My mother, a farmer's daughter. And played piano, and because everybody was kind of broke, and the movie industry was very big. I've got a little bit of allergies today, I'm sorry. And so they signed up with a company called Central Casting in Hollywood.
I've heard of Central Casting, sure.
Central Casting, once you signed up, and they knew your age group and what you could do and what you couldn't do. You would get calls from Central Casting for extra bits or bit parts, sometimes headlining parts. You know.
Wow.
In fact, I have a picture I'd like to show you.
Sure.
Can you see that?
Oh yeah, I see Shirley Temple.
Okay. Well, this little girl with the pigtails and black hair, that's me.
Is that right? That's great.
Right.
That's wonderful.
Now that's from Curly Top. That's when she sneaks a pony into the orphanage.
and you were a fellow orphan.
Now, then also, I starred in a movie with Conway Terrell and Barbara Bedford. This is a good shot here. Now, my hair looks kind of tacky, but that's Conway Terrell and Barbara Bedford.
Oh, okay.
And that's me as a little girl. She's my mother, and my mother's on the run, and we're for something that happened. I can't remember exactly. Somebody just, that's a genealogist by Kendrick Sims, just sent me the whole reel-to-reel movie. It was called Senior Jim, and a friend of mine now is redoing it.
Oh, and that's great. You'll be able to watch it again.
Yeah, so I'm hoping I can, yeah. And then I had a very nice thing happen that you might like is
sure.
You see this? Can you see this okay?
Yes, it's a very pretty girl.
That's me.
That's you.
That's me with my Emmy.
Oh, that's the Emmy we saw earlier. Yeah.
Yes, and this says, please join us at the Walk of Stars ceremony Saturday, March 25th, 1995, 4 p.m. South and 100 South Palm Canyon Drive. And this is in Palm Springs, so I have a star in the walk.
Oh, you're on the Walk of Fame.
I am.
That's fantastic.
And I'm very flattered. And I went through a box of memorabilia, and I can't believe this is a picture of me on the cover of TV Radio Life.
Wow, a cover girl. The real deal. Will TV drive pins back to opera?
Like this, because we were talking about a religion. KTLA always did all the religious programs. So if you can see here, can you see?
Oh, I see. KTLA's In God We Trust.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that's why they did so well, is because the Televiews magazine, this one is a big one.
Okay.
Liberace and I won for the most outstanding female and male performer on television that year.
Oh, that's fantastic. There you are.
I was on this cover many times.
Here, hold it. Here, pull it back toward you a little bit. There you are. Yeah. There you are.
You see it?
You were a knockout.
Not too shabby. And here's Walt and I together on television. There's a big, beautiful article in the center to look at.
Wonderful.
This is Walt and I and the dressing
Oh,
room.
there you are. Lawrence and the champagne lady smiling. That's great.
Roberta Linn is a big picture that when I go to sign my book.
Oh, okay. That's a good picture. I love that.
Yeah, this was made at Paramount Studios, and they had a board under my leg this way, and behind my back, and me sitting on a table, and then they supered me into the glass. Somebody asked me, how did they get you in that glass? I said it wasn't easy.
Oh, that's great. Oh, how much fun. How much fun was that?
Yeah.
And then you had some good sized roles in movies, didn't you? How did you get those?
Well, I worked with everybody that you can imagine. I did a lot of, you remember Pete Smith's shorts?
Yes.
Yeah, he did all the life stories. I was in that one Kendrick Sims sent me that too. It was a life of Louis Pasteur.
Oh, okay.
You can tell that the dog comes running out and has all the foam all over his mouth, the rabies.
Yes.
Yeah. And I worked with, I'll tell you some of the stars that I worked with. Ann Sheridan.
Sure.
Laurel and Hardy. I did Babes in Toyland.
Oh, my gosh.
Hardy. I worked with Ronald Coleman, Cary Grant as a little girl. In fact, I was doing a movie where I had a bit part in that movie with he and Jimmy Durante. And you remember those little paddle boards that kids had that had an elastic and a ball?
Oh, sure. Like ping pong, only it was attached.
Cary Grant asked me to see what I had, and he took it and he broke it.
Oh, no.
So he sent his guy out, and he came back with about 10 of those paddle boards. And he was
How
wonderful.
sweet. How sweet.
We used to go horseback riding together. Years later, I belonged to the Desert Riders here, and I love to ride horses.
Oh, that's great.
And Cary Grant and David Niven were on a ride with us one night. And I could hear these guys laughing like crazy, when I was riding next to them. And we went in, and they had a big steak fry. And they had a guy by the name of Tex Kidwell that sang all the country western songs, and the steak fry and the beans and the coffee. And we got down off our horses, and I realized I was riding then next to Cary Grant and David Niven. And we got off that horse, and I looked at him, and I said, Mr. Grant, you really are perfect. Everybody else had wrinkles in their pants, dust on their face, and he looked gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
I've been very lucky. I worked with the very best. Olivia de Havilland, I did. I played her baby sister in a wonderful movie Mervyn LeRoy produced. And later on, he had me test for the Helen Morgan story. I still have that film. And when he told me that Paul Newman was the male star, I said, you don't have to pay me.
Every woman watching this agrees with you.
Are you kidding? He was gorgeous, those beautiful blue eyes. And
oh, yeah, what a handsome guy.
I didn't get the part, unfortunately. Fellow that was, they kept changing directors and producers. Mervyn LeRoy finally got rid of it because her mother was suing him. She didn't like the script.
Oh, I see.
It kept moving from director to director. And my good friend, Ann Blythe.
Ann Blythe, she was a great star.
I loved Ann. She was great. We kind of all grew up together a little bit. She was older than me, but
yeah, I want to talk more about Hollywood and what it was like in those years. But we need to take another brief break. We're going to come back for our final segment. I'm sorry to say, I could go on all day with Roberta Linn. She's just been great company. But we'll be back with her right after this.
You know, one of the worst feelings imaginable is the feeling of being alone. I mean, this is why solitary confinement is one of the cruelest punishments ever in human history.
Yeah, we were designed for relationships. The most meaningful thing in life is to be truly known by another person.
But this can actually be kind of scary, too. I mean, what if I let people down? Or what if when someone learns who I really am, they'll realize they can't really love me? I mean, how are we supposed to really find meaningful relationships?
And so the Bible speaks to all of this. It says that God created the world in order to share with us the beauty of existence.
God's desire for us is to have significant friendships, to be part of families, to create things and to share our work with others.
And all the while depending on God as our source of love and life.
But here's the thing, there's so many barriers to that. There's loneliness, fear, hatred.
And the Bible claims that these are a result of our being disconnected from God. Without God, we don't actually know who we are anymore. But at the center of the Bible story is Jesus, who wants to bring us back into a relationship with God. Jesus claimed that God loves us for who we are, and that he calls us into a relationship with him despite our failures. And when you realize how loved you are by God, that he is not ashamed of you, it changes everything. It gives you a source of love that is not your own.
So the story of the Bible is calling us into the most important relationship.
Yeah, it's calling us to know and be known by the Creator God himself.
Let me tell you what love can do.
Even though I haven't met love yet,
I would recognize it at first glance.
love is serenading me with a guitar and singing all my Bollywood songs.
Love walked in with a pink dupatta on the first day of college.
I know what love can
I
do.
know what love can do.
Maybe I'm looking at it in the wrong
place.
The love I was looking for finally showed up.
Love acknowledges me based on what I bring.
Love didn't like Bollywood songs anymore.
Love hates the real me.
I tried my best to keep this love.
But it changed.
It faded away.
I feel ashamed of myself.
I don't think I can be loved or belong to someone.
One day, unexpectedly, love came to me. I barely recognized it.
Love looked different and accepted me as I am.
This love
is Jesus.
He made me in his image and bought me with his blood.
He showed me that he died for me, and the blood that was spilled had my name on it.
This is the purest form of love I have ever seen. He tells me I am loved, and I'm looking to others for acceptance.
He tells me I am loved when nothing feels right.
He tells me I am loved when I'm waiting for someone else to love me.
Jesus still loves you no matter what.
Don't harden your heart. Love him again.
And welcome back to Las Vegas tonight.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is Roberta Linn. This is the third segment, and I demand that you go back and watch segment 1 and segment 2 if you didn't do it. Because you have missed
We're having
a lot.
such a good time.
Yeah, we're having a great time. The multi-talented Roberta Linn, formerly the Champagne Lady on the Lawrence Welk Show. And she's pointing. Tell us what you're pointing at behind your shoulder there.
I'm pointing at, it's quite large. It looks very small there, but that's a picture of a clown with a little poodle on his knee. And he's unhappy. And I painted that myself.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
So
I
you
do a
are
lot
truly-
of paintings.
Yeah. How did you get started with painting, Roberta?
I don't know. I've always kind of liked to draw all my life, even in school and so on. And I've got a lot of paintings on my wall, which I can't get to show you. But I've done a lot of painting over the years. That one I think I did in, I might have done that in 1978 or 79.
Oh, okay.
And I've kept a lot of my paintings. A lot of them right now, people are buying from me. And
That's great.
Yeah, that's good. Good. I like
And,
seascapes too, and I love clowns. I love clowns. And
You and Red Skelton.
Yeah,
Red Skelton painted a lot of clowns.
Oh, I loved Red Skelton. Years ago, you'd see him driving down in his big limousine, what is that other one? A Packard or something? And he'd be driving down Palm Canyon Drive, in his car. He was so cute. I loved him. When I was under contract to NBC and Hollywood, there at Sunset and Vine, you'd see him walking up and down the street all the time, going to the Brown Derby and going back to, NBC where they were doing the shows and stuff.
Oh, sure. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Those were really great days. And I really did want to talk to you about the golden age of Hollywood, which you lived through and you were a part of. Tell me about that and how it was different than the Hollywood and the entertainment business of today.
Well, it's entirely different. The shooting of the movies and everything. To be very honest, I'm not really fond of a lot of the movies and the music.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I'm really not. I have to be honest. I worked when movies were movies and stars were stars.
Yes.
And the studios made stars out of them, and I think one of the funniest things that ever happened with Lawrence Welk and I with a famous movie was at the Grauman's Chinese Theater.
Oh, sure.
And we were big television stars at that time, Lawrence and I. We were really, we were very lucky. And we pulled up in this big, beautiful car from the studio, Paramount Studios. And we followed Marilyn Monroe in, right? And it was Farewell to Arms with Rock Hudson and Jennifer Jones.
Okay.
Remember? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great movie. Great movie.
It was wonderful. And that's when Rock Hudson was, oh my gosh, was he good.
he was a huge star. Yeah, boy.
We pulled up and Lawrence opens the trunk of this big limousine we were in, and he had these little keychains with his picture on them that were worth about $1.50, maybe not even that much. And he's passing them out to the people. And I went, oh, Lawrence, please.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
He said, it's wonderful, folks. Oh, and I got to dance with Rock Hudson.
Oh, is that right? Tell me about that.
Well, we went to Romanoff's to the press party afterwards. Yeah. And Rock Hudson was there, and so was Jennifer, and the Hollywood elite. And of course, Lawrence and I were like little bumpkins there, little country bumpkins. And my press, the lady said, "Would you like to dance with Rock Hudson?" And I almost fainted. I said, "Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Would I like to dance with Rock Hudson?" Well, I did. And he was so tall that my face was in his chest, And I was looking up at this gorgeous guy. And he was so nice. And what a good dancer. And he was just a real gentleman. So one of the thrills of my life was dancing with Rock Hudson.
Oh, that's a big one. That's a great story.
Yeah, great.
You mentioned dancing, and I know you did some dancing. Were you in any of the big epic dancing movies of that era at all?
Well, my uncle was head of music at Warner's.
I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
He was an adopted uncle. His name was Al Dubin.
Okay.
Al Dubin wrote the full score for 42nd Street. I Only Have Eyes for You, September in the Rain, Lullaby on Broadway. You go home and get your clothes. I'll go get my these and thosies, and away we'll go. And he wrote, he wrote over 10,000 songs during his tenure at Warner Brothers.
Oh, that's incredible.
Got my part in a movie at 4 years old, and I played the part of an angel in an Al.
Perfect casting, typecasting.
Oh, my mother said I was miscast. And I was in a movie, I didn't know who it was for years. A friend of mine finally told me that's an Al Jolson fan. I was hanging on wires with a bunch of other little kids, and we were angels. And the only thing I could remember was this man walking in, they had big sound stages in those days.
Oh, sure.
So on the sound stage, they had this walk that it looked like it was going up to heaven. And
okay.
Going to heaven on a mule.
Oh,
And I didn't
okay.
know that was Al Jolson until about 5 years ago. And a friend of mine was a collector of Al Jolson things. So I did an Al Jolson movie. And
Oh, that's huge. He was one of the hugest stars of Hollywood in the early days. Yeah.
Look who I've been working with lately.
Wow. Who we got there?
Okay,
Wow.
now this is Florence Henderson,
Oh, sure.
Eddie Garrett, Gloria Lying, and me.
Right. Oh,
And
wow, that's
we
great.
did 8 concerts together.
Ladies of Song.
With the Ladies of Song. And now this one was in 2002.
Okay.
Okay.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and I did 8 concerts with these girls. And and I loved them. Betty Garrett was just the kick. And Florence Henderson was very, very funny.
Was she?
We had to know her and get her backstage, and she'd get talking. She was so cute. Tiny, tiny. Betty Garrett loved a joke. She was in her 80s, and she passed away a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I remember.
Gloria Lauren's still alive. She lives up in Lake Arrowhead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen her again, but we had a great tour, and we did really good business. It was wonderful.
The people in those days in the film business seemed to be just nicer people than a lot of the stars today, at least what you read about the stars today. I don't know how much of you agree with me on that, but tell me a little bit about the people you liked and the ones who were nice and charitably minded in Hollywood.
Well, you have to understand, on every lot, the lots of the like MGM and 20th Century and Columbia and so on, they had these big, huge sound stages. And
Sure.
That's where we did most of our filming, unless we went on location. Like I did a lot of Westerns and with Hopalong Cassidy and so on. Yeah.
That's great.
Those were more locations because we were on horseback and they had, covered wagons and all that stuff.
Sure.
And but the good movies like Anthony Anvers is the one that I did with Frances Antone and Olivia de Havilland, where I played her baby sister.
Oh,
and,
okay.
Now those were the only thing that we did film was at the back lot of Warner Brothers, and the story was my part of it was the servants that worked for Frances Antone.
Okay.
When he became the big owner, Olivia de Havilland was his daughter. And he had all the children. I was the baby daughter. And the father, the Italian father, Maria Giuseppe, Giuseppe, he won the lottery. And he buys all of his children horses and carriages. So we did night shooting on the lot at Warner's, and we each had our own carriage. And hundreds of extras holding big torches. And I was in a carriage with white horses by myself, and somebody burned one of the horses with the torch, and the horse shot up in the air, and my carriage went over.
Oh no!
I'm in the carriage, and and Mervyn LeRoy came running. My mother came running, and they got me out of there. I was okay. But he was scared to death for me for fear I got hurt,
Oh, yeah. They killed the little girl star.
Right. Now,
that's never good.
An interesting thing in those days was that's when Jewish performers had to change their name.
Okay.
So if you had even a name that sounded like it was Jewish, you had to change your name. So when I was little, I worked under the name of Alberta Dugan, Dugan.
Okay.
So if you ever wanted to look me up, there are some movies there that you would see. I worked with Freddie Bartholomew also, and Jane Withers, and Virginia Weidler. And one of the interesting things, we had to go to school so many hours on the set.
Yeah, there were rules.
Absolutely. Had to be. And when we didn't do a movie and we were in between movies or something, we went to Hollywood Professional School.
Oh, okay.
I went to school with Mickey Rooney and Judy and all of the child actors at that time. We all.
Yeah, I was going to ask you who you knew then of the child stars.
And Judy and I became very good friends. In fact, Liza has a birthday coming up, and I'm going to do a special thing for her birthday.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, she's not real well, and
yeah, I'm sorry.
But yeah, and I saw her here at the Alba Caliente Casino here, and did I get off track of what you asked me, or am I following it pretty well?
No, that's fine. What I wanted to follow up with was you discovered in my research, I read that you discovered that having been a child star, you had trouble being cast as an adult, and that's what got you into singing. Is that a true statement?
Well, no. Well, you get to a certain age and you're not a little girl anymore. It's like Shirley Temple. Yeah, she was all that cutie, a little cute girl. But when she got to teenage, they had to cast her in different parts in movies. Okay.
Sure.
So that does happen. Okay. And now my mother, who was struggling, I'm going to tell you something you don't know about me, I don't think, unless you read my book.
Yeah.
If you read my book, you know where I'm going. My mother was struggling financially, and I was kind of the bread and butter, after she and Daddy divorced. So my mother was going to go in the Army and put me in a convent. I was going to St. Mary's Academy at the time, schooling. Okay. And I was about 14 years old, but I looked like I was 18.
Oh, boy.
I mean, with a little makeup and everything, right? So I said, Mama, please don't put me in a convent and go off and leave me. Take me with you. She said, how can I do that? You're only 14 years old. And I said, Mom, look at me. I could pass for 18. Well, my mom discovered that the courthouse burned down in Gravity, Iowa. So there were no records of her birth or my birth.
Oh, boy. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So my mother lied about my age and took me in the Army. So I was in the Army. I was in the Army for 3 years in the Women's Army Corps.
Wow.
Yeah. What a life I've had. What a life I've had.
What a great story. And
I know.
You and your mom were in the Army together.
Yeah, they shipped her to Fort Meade, Maryland, and me to San Francisco at that age. And if you don't have a copy of my book.
No, I don't.
I'm going to get you one.
Okay.
And I'm trying to see if I have a picture that I pose for. There's been some, here.
Oh, there you are. Oh, okay. Well, you're a good-looking whack, I got to say.
Well, but I was a baby. Now, there was controversy as to whether this was me or some other gals. But I remember when they took me out of I was doing some duty in the kitchen at the officers club. And they got me out of there and dressed me in the back of a truck and took the picture.
Oh, okay.
So no matter what they say, I would say that is me. Okay. And the labeling on is that mine eyes have seen the glory. But then I came right back. And then right after that is when I auditioned for Welk and got the job with Welk.
Roberta, you told me earlier that you had something Vegas-y that you wanted to show us. What's that?
When Fred and I took over for Keely and Louie.
Oh, okay.
That's Fred and I sitting on the marquee and the bellboy sitting on the far end.
What a great publicity photo that is.
Yeah, well, it's an album. This is an album by 20th Century Fox. One of the best albums we ever made. Good music.
Oh, that's the cover of an album. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. The bells are swinging. Freddie Bell and Roberta Linn and the Bell Boys. That's a great shot. They're all sitting on that.
Bobby Centenary is still living in Vegas, and he's 90 years old.
But a whole hour has raced by, and we've had a wonderful visit with you. Roberta Linn, who's been a terrific guest. Thank you so much for being on Las Vegas Tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
And God bless all of you for watching. And as I try to remember to say each and every show, when it comes to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, please walk with him. God bless you.
A
believe there are problems in this world that remain unfixed. I see plenty of food, but people still starving. I see cancer. I see families falling apart. I see people connected, but still isolated. I see ISIS, and it freaks me out. I see people without hope or purpose. I see that we are all desperate to fit in. I see that everything isn't okay around me and in me. But despite all of this, I have hope because there is a God who cares about us, me, you, who hates injustice, loneliness, and inequality so much that he didn't just leave us in the struggle alone, but entered our struggle with us. As Jesus, he suffered injustice, pain, and laid down his life for us, even though we were the ones who created the problems and we were the ones who deserved the consequences. But he rose again and conquered death in order to restore humanity to his original purpose, one person at a time. So why do I believe this? I've seen hope restored and lives transformed. I've seen fractured relationships healed. I've seen people make it through troubled times because of God's peace. I've seen people forgive atrocities. I've seen God answer prayers. I've seen sickness healed. I've seen broken people find God's love, acceptance, and peace. I have found God's love, acceptance, and peace. I've experienced this transformation for myself, and I believe it can happen for you too.
Happiness, harmony, just the two of you. But suddenly, you're alone. You don't know what to do or how to live. Suffocation slowly killing you. The fear overpowering you. Nothing makes sense. But you're not alone. The one who created love knows your heart. He is Jesus, who brings life so you will breathe again.
Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
You've been watching Las Vegas Tonight with your host, Dale Davidson. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of our show. We so appreciate your loyalty to our program. To keep Las Vegas Tonight on the air, please go to our website, vegassaints.org, and click the Donate button. To send a check or money order, please make it out to Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries and mail it to 9030 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. To suggest a guest to appear on the show or any other suggestions or questions, write to Dale at dalewdavidson@yahoo.com or call him at 702-480-3989.
Shine, Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human history. Social media shows is now the new media of the century.
Ready to buy a home? Whether you want to move out of your parents' home for the first time, own a home after renting for years, or buy a place with a spouse or partner, purchasing your first home is a big step. Finding the right home for you and your family has never been easier. New American Funding can help you determine how much house you qualify for, what your payments may be, and get you pre-approved, which will help you put in a stronger offer when you do find your new home. Before you start the home buying process, it's important to consider everything that you want in a home and what that means to you. There are several things you should consider when buying a home. The neighborhood. Location, location, location. School district. Review what school district the house is in. Even if you don't have kids, having a home in a desirable school district will pay off when it comes time to sell your home in the future. Commute times. Check the routes to work, school, grocery stores, and more to see how busy they are and how much time these routes will take. Crime rate. Before you get too involved in the home buying process, check out the crime rates for the neighborhoods you are interested in. Our complete property profile report can give you property ownership, historical tax and mortgage data, neighborhood and school data, local market conditions, and more. Find the right home for you and your family with your complimentary property profile from New American Funding. To get pre-approved or to get your complimentary property profile, contact us today.
I can already feel you judging me, and not for what I've done in the past, but for what I'm about to do. I had what mattered, and I got careless. Like, I don't deserve more. I don't deserve sympathy. I don't deserve to be here.
Where the hell are you? Why aren't you answering your phone?
Jenna! What is the matter with you?
Someone once told me, you may not be everybody's cup of tea, but you're somebody's shot of whiskey.
Excuse me, ma'am. My car ran out of gas and I left my wallet at home. Could you please spare a couple dollars so I can refuel my vehicle?
I literally have nothing.
What's it gonna take to get you to join the program?
Get back, dog! If Jesus wanted you to have a dog, he would have blessed you with a foal and a leash now, wouldn't he?